Matt, where are you at with this Terry Rozier extension? Like, there's reported talks that at least that they're discussing the idea. Any optimism from you in this regard? Because this doesn't make a lot of sense from Rozier's perspective, because I think eventually he's going to get more money elsewhere and not in Boston.
Yeah, I think Brian Robb first reported this.
B-Rob, the man. Love B-Rob. He's great.
I think it's really low. I mean, to me, it makes sense if you're like, sacrificing a little bit of, your maximum potential for some security. But NBA players tend to not think that way. They tend to bet on themselves. And, Marcus Smart bet on himself, for example, and it didn't wind up hurting him that he didn't take the deal that the Celtics offered him a year early. I think the same is going to happen with Terry Rozier. I mean, I think less than a 10% chance, and that sounds even a little bit high, like maybe less than 5% chance that it actually gets done. I think what number would the Celtics look to extend him at? Probably around 15 mil, and maybe he can get 20 mil on the open market. So yeah, I think most likely he's going to try and play himself into a higher contract. And hey, it'd be great if he can get a below market extension from the Celtics. They still run into an issue where the roster is just too expensive, and you're paying two backups in Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier, a combined 28-30 million annually, something like that, which doesn't make sense. It puts the Celtics into a much higher tax bracket, and they'll be paying like hundreds of millions of dollars in luxury tax. So yeah, eventually they got to make a decision between Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier. But I think it's really unlikely that an extension gets done. What say you?
Yeah, I just don't see it from Rozier's perspective unless he just loves Boston. I mean, there's some guys like settling down in one area and playing in one area. Some people like that. Like Dirk Nowitzki got taken care of, obviously, but Dirk never moved anywhere. Paul Pierce didn't want to go anywhere. He was traded eventually, but would have liked to play his entire career in Boston. It would have to be, for me, like Rozier loves his team so much, loves playing in Boston, loves the what might be his future in Boston. He loves all that stuff. And if that's what really matters to him, then yeah, it makes a little bit of sense. But in terms of like the way modern basketball and the way people think about how contracts work, I just don't see him extending right now unless it's just like, oh, I love it here, I don't want to go anywhere. I mean, Rozier's
going to get paid by the Celtics at the end of the year. I mean, they'd be less likely to do it.
Right.
But and even if he did like take an extension or got re-signed by the Celtics, he'd be a prime candidate to be traded at some point. I mean, you don't pay back. Contract's
going to be used and to use because they need a. That's the problem with the season.
It's starter money. It's starter money. You don't pay back up starter money. It's just bad math. I mean, unless there was some, unless there was like some trade for Anthony Davis or something, and if like Jaylen Brown got sent the other way, then you could see like Terry Rozier sliding into the starting lineup or something like that. But I mean, that's a lot of moving pieces. So yeah, I'm pretty pessimistic about it getting done. It was kind of surprising when it popped up to me, actually, because I didn't think it was really on the table.
The only thing that it says to me though about the C's offering him a contract extension, besides the fact that the Anthony Davis thing is always lurking around there, and the Celtics need contracts to match up to make that deal possible. It also shows me that, like, I'm not sure if Danny is ready to get rid of Terry Rozier, like, ever. I do think Danny loves Terry Rozier, and I think there was a lot of pride in, like, Danny giving everybody the big middle finger, saying, fuck you guys. I was right when I drafted Terry Rozier at 16, and I was right that I didn't draft Bobby Portis or Justin Anderson or any of those people that came out, or Sam Decker, or any of those people that wanted me to draft that guy. No, I drafted my guy, and I was fucking right. So I think there's a little, FU factor from Danny Ainge here being like, that he might not even want to get rid of Terry. He loves Terry so much.
Well, yeah, and if he walks in free agency, you lose him for nothing. So maybe it is better to get a deal done and then figure things out later. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tricky. It'll be really fascinating to see what happens.
The one thing about Rozier that I want to say quickly is that of all the people that we saw in the preseason, Terry Rozier impressed me the most out of everybody. I think Rozier obviously took a leap in the playoffs and leading up to the playoffs. He was, with the exception of Game 7 where he was god awful, he was really, really good.
In the fourth quarters especially.
Yeah, and you looked at its like assist to turnover ratio at home in the playoffs was like insane.
Oh, he never turns the ball over.
It was like otherworldly. It was basically zero. And
Yeah. That's his prime value on offense. Probably it's just he doesn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, and he gets in the lane. I mean, he's just now what I love with Rozier is he's getting guys pinned on his back hip and like keeping them at bay essentially, and as people say, put them in jail, and knows how to finish correctly now without getting his shot blocked and absorbing contact and like I loved and just to make it basketball related, I loved everything that I saw at Terry Rozier in the preseason. There wasn't a lot of things to like really write home about. And Robert Williams is great, but I thought Rozier was by far the most impressive player, by far.
Yeah, he's a good guy to bet on. He's athletic. He's gotten to excellent shape. He just looks way more jacked than before. And we've heard this ever since his rookie year that he's just a worker. He's always in the gym. The team has consistently praised his work ethic right from day one.
Yeah.
He wants to be great, and for that reason, he's doing great things out there. He's going to be very, very rich very soon.